1. Let me tell you about this fascinating 1985 Chevy El Camino I found on Craigslist. This unique car-truck hybrid is currently listed at $8,000. And honestly, there's quite a story to tell here. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. That 579 350-mile odometer reading. That's some serious mileage, folks. But here's where it gets interesting. The owner has clearly put work into keeping this classic running. We're looking at a white El Camino with the 5.0 LV8 engine, that's the 305 for you Chevy folks, paired with the 200R4 automatic transmission. The recent upgrades are pretty impressive. Fresh tune-up, transmission service, new front shocks, and they've even installed rear air struts for adjustable ride height. That's a nice touch. The AC and heating systems are both new, which is huge for these older vehicles. What really catches my attention is the utility factor. It's got cargo tie-downs and a towing package, making it both a showpiece and a workhorse. The LED rear lights and integrated sound system add some modern conveniences to this classic. Now, I've got to keep it real with you. While the seller claims excellent condition, that mileage count makes me raise an eyebrow. However, with all the recent maintenance and upgrades, it could still be a solid runner. The 80% tread on the radial tires and clean title are definitely positive points. 2. Let me tell you about this sweet 1977 Chevy C20 Scottsdale I just found listed for $9,800. This is one of those classic workhorses that just keeps on trucking, and this particular example has some real character to it. Let's talk numbers first. We're looking at a 350 small block V8 with an automatic 3-speed transmission and 115,000 miles on the clock, though the odometer has rolled over. The orange paint really makes this C20 stand out from the crowd, and honestly, I love when people keep these unique original colors. The current owner has had it for 5 years and has clearly shown it some love. They've put in some serious work updating crucial components: new carpet, door panels, seat belts, heater, aluminum radiator, that's a nice upgrade, radiator fan cowling, valve covers, and shocks. They've even thrown in a new grille to freshen up the face. What I really appreciate here is that this isn't just a garage queen. The owner drives it 4 times per week, which tells me it's a reliable runner. That's exactly what you want in these old Chevy trucks, something that's both classic and usable. The good tread on the tires and clean title are definitely pluses. Being a C20, this is the heavy-duty 3/4-ton model, which means it's built for some serious work if you need it. 3. I've got something really special to share. A 1957 Chevy Cameo listed at $17,500. Now, let me be completely honest with you because this is a unique piece of automotive history that deserves straight talk. The Cameo is one of Chevy's rarest and most desirable classic trucks, but this one's listed in fair condition, and we need to acknowledge that up front. It's powered by the classic 283 V8 with a 3-speed manual floor shifter, a great combination for these trucks. The owner has done some meaningful mechanical work, including a rebuilt carburetor, new gas lines, motor mount, and brake lines. Some nice touches have been added: new door handles inside and out, fresh wood in the bed, that's a big plus, and new 3,124 scripts on the fenders. The brown paint gives it that classic vintage look. Now, here's where we need to be real. The seller honestly admits it needs electrical work, and it's currently on non-op status, meaning it's not currently registered for road use. The odometer has rolled over, so the true mileage is unknown. At $17,500, you're buying potential here. The Cameo was essentially the Cadillac of pickup trucks in its day, one of the first luxury pickups ever made. These trucks are incredibly rare and valuable when fully restored, often fetching serious money at auctions. 4. Let me tell you about this awesome 1970 Ford F-250 I just found listed for $12,000. This is one of those rare gems that makes you stop scrolling, a one-family-owned truck with some serious credentials. We're looking at a style-side long bed with the mighty 390 V8 engine, 255 horses from the factory, paired with an automatic transmission. What makes this truck special is its originality. and the fact it stayed in one family all these years. That usually means better care and maintenance history. The good stuff first. The engine block was pressure tested and rebuilt just 9,000 miles ago. Odometer has rolled over, of course. They've added a Flowmaster exhaust system which probably gives this big Ford a beautiful rumble. The interior is original and reportedly in great shape. That's increasingly rare for these old workhorses. Some nice updates have been done. New glass and seals, fresh bushings, new steering wheel, and, here's a big one, they rebuilt the factory AC system. Finding a working AC in a 53-year-old truck is like finding a unicorn. The seller is honest about some surface rust, which is expected for a truck this age, but emphasizes that the floor, body, and frame are in terrific condition. That's crucial because these are usually the expensive trouble spots on old trucks. For $12,000, you're getting a piece of American truck history that's been maintained and thoughtfully upgraded while keeping its original character. The 390 is a torque monster, and these F250s were built to last, clearly evidenced by this example's survival. 5. Let's talk about this 1981 Dodge Ram I just found listed for $4,000. Now, I've got to keep it real with you folks because this listing raises some flags we need to discuss. First, let's acknowledge what we know. It's a 1981 Ram with what the seller claims is 65,000 miles, though they're unsure about odometer rollover, which is pretty common for these old trucks. They've installed a new back window, which is a plus. But here's where we need to be completely honest. The seller admits they can't get it to pass emissions testing for city limits. That's a pretty big deal, folks. This typically means there could be some significant engine or fuel system issues that need addressing. Without more details about the engine type or overall condition, it's hard to gauge what you might be getting into. The listing is notably sparse on details. No mention of the engine size, transmission condition, body condition, rust status, or any recent maintenance. All we know is the engine runs fine. But if it can't pass emissions, that's debatable. At $4,000, you're looking at what could be a project truck that needs some serious attention to become daily driver legal, at least in areas with emissions requirements. For rural areas without testing, it might be less of an issue. 6. We have here is an absolute gem of a truck that's got me seriously excited. This 1971 Ford F100 Ranger in that gorgeous two-tone boxwood green and seafoam green paint combo is the definition of vintage cool with just the right amount of patina. At $24,500, you're looking at a beautifully preserved piece of American truck history that's been thoughtfully maintained. The odometer shows just 45,391 miles, though it has rolled over, so total mileage is unknown. But don't let that worry you. This beauty has received some serious love recently. The seller has rebuilt both the carburetor and transmission, just completed in September 2024, along with replacing practically everything that wears out: blower motor, distributor cap, rotor, filters, alternator, belts, gaskets, plugs, wires, and shocks. Under the hood is that beefy 360 CIV-8 that was factory rated at 215 horsepower and 327 lb-out of torque. Plenty of muscle for this classic hauler. It's paired with a 3-speed automatic transmission sending power to those rear wheels. The interior is a time machine with that green vinyl and cloth bench seat that's been retrimmed. And check out those period-correct touches like the cassette stereo and aluminum scuff plates. They've even converted the AC to modern R134A refrigerant and replaced the headliner, carpeting, dash pad, window sweeps, and door panels. 7. Let me tell you about this 1981 GMC K 1500 that just popped up for $20,000. Now, this isn't your average 81 GMC. We're looking at a modified pickup with some serious muscle under the hood. The highlight here is that 383 stroker motor. For those who might not know, that's a popular performance upgrade where a 350 block is modified to get more displacement, resulting in significantly more power than the stock engine. However, the seller admits they're not the one who did the engine swap, so there's some mystery about when and how it was done. The truck's sporting some fresh upgrades: new wheels and tires, a new dash pad, which is great because these old dashes often crack, and a new gas tank. The blue paint gives it that classic GMC look, and being a K1500, you've got the capability of four-wheel drive. Now let's be real about a few things. The mileage is listed at 100,000, but the seller admits they don't know the exact miles. Pretty common with modified classics. The description is pretty brief with just runs and drives, which leaves a lot of questions about its overall condition and any potential issues. At $20,000, this is priced at the higher end for these trucks, likely due to the 383-stroker and recent upgrades. However, without knowing the build quality of the engine swap or the truck's full history, potential buyers should definitely do their homework. 8. Let me tell you about this intriguing 1964 Ford F100 I just found listed for $15,000. And folks, this isn't your typical F100. We've got ourselves an interesting hot rod situation here. First, let's talk about the elephant in the room. This F100 is running a Chrysler 360 V8 with a TorqueFlite transmission. That's right, there's Mopar power in this blue oval beauty. For some purists, this might be sacrilege, but for others, it's a fascinating piece of custom engineering. The truck presents well in blue with what the seller claims is a rust-free solid body. That's huge for a truck pushing 60 years old. They've modernized the interior with bucket seats and a console, giving it more of a comfort-oriented, custom feel. Now, let's be honest about a few things. The seller admits there are some minor oil leaks, pretty common with these old engines, and it needs a tune-up. But they're upfront about it running decent, and the dual exhaust system apparently gives it a sweet sound. At 97,501 miles showing on the odometer, we're likely looking at a rolled-over number, which is typical for vehicles this age. One interesting note, the listing mentions FWD, front-wheel drive, which has to be a mistake since these trucks were definitely rear-wheel drive, and the Chrysler 360 setup would be RWD as well. 9. We're looking at a pretty interesting 1983 GMC Suburban listed for $8,200. And I've got to say, this seller's transparency is refreshing. This is a 3/4 ton 4x4 with the 6.2L diesel. But here's where it gets interesting. It's got a Banks turbo kit installed, which is a serious upgrade for these old Detroit diesels. Let's break down what we're working with. The odometer shows 49K, but likely rolled over, so think 149K miles. And there's evidence of a possible GM Goodwrench engine replacement based on valve cover stickers. The transmission is a 4-speed automatic with overdrive, and according to the seller, it's shifting firmly through all gears. That's good news. Now let's be real about both the good and the challenging parts. The good? The body's mostly solid with minimal rust, which is huge for these old Suburbans. It's got a block heater installed, crucial for cold starts, power windows, and tilt steering with cruise control. The issues, and the seller's really upfront about these, it puffs blue smoke on cold starts, though clears up when warm, needs an alignment and shocks, could use new tires, the gauges and climate control blower don't work, and the driver's window is dead. Other windows work, but slowly. No third-row seat, and there's some cargo area staining. What makes this listing stand out is the seller's honesty. They're presenting this as what it is, a solid starting point for either a gradual fix-up while driving or a full restoration project. The Banks Turbo Kit is a valuable addition, and these 6.2 diesels, while not powerhouses stock, are known for their reliability when maintained. 10. Let me tell you about this absolute gem I just found. A 1983 Ford F250 diesel listed for $18,000, and folks, this one's pretty special. We're looking at a true time capsule here with just 26,000 original miles, which is incredibly rare for these workhorses. This is a 3/4 ton 4x4 powered by the legendary 6.9L IDI diesel, the grandfather of Ford's diesel lineup, paired with a 4-speed manual transmission. A fantastic combination for reliability and control. And get this, it's a one-owner truck that's been garaged its entire life. What makes this F250 particularly interesting is its originality and preservation. The green paint appears to be original, and the truck comes equipped with heavy-duty springs and suspension. It's got some great features like dual fuel tanks and dual batteries, which were premium options back in '83. The seller claims 1820 mpg, which is pretty impressive for a heavy-duty truck from this era. Being a one-owner, garaged vehicle with documented low mileage adds serious value to this piece of Ford truck history. Now, let's be transparent about the few imperfections. There's a small tear in the seat cover and a scrape on the right rear fender. But for a 40-year-old truck, these are minor issues that don't detract from its overall exceptional condition. 11. Let me tell you about this interesting 1976 Chevy Sierra Grande K20. I found listed for $18,000. Though interestingly, the seller mentions asking $11,000 OBO in the description, so there might be some flexibility there. First off, this is a long bed 4x4 that's been given some serious attitude with a 6-inch lift and brand new 37-inch Pro Comp tires. For those who know these square bodies, this K20 is the heavy-duty 3/4 ton model, and it's powered by a small block 350 with a Holley 4160 carb. Now let's be completely honest here. This is a project truck, and the seller is upfront about it being in fair condition. It runs but has been sitting for a while, always a red flag that needs attention. And it's currently on non-op status. Here's what's been done. New wheels and tires, 6-inch lift, new shocks, complete brake overhaul, calipers, springs, everything, and new fuel sending units. The seat is reportedly in perfect condition with no leather tears, though it's currently stored in the garage. But here's where you need to pay attention. There's ongoing rust repair work. The passenger floor panel has been replaced, and the driver's side has been cut out with a new panel ready to go in. This kind of rust repair is typical for these old trucks, but it's something to factor into your decision. 12. Let me tell you about this super clean 1981 Chevy K5 Blazer that just popped up for $20,500. And folks, this is one of those rare two-owner examples that makes you sit up and take notice. First, let's talk history. This Blazer was originally purchased in Lebanon, Oregon, and stayed with its first owner until 2021. That kind of long-term ownership usually means consistent care, and the service history on the Carfax backs that up. Under the hood, you've got the original 305 V8 showing just 25,915 miles on the 7-digit odometer. It's got the classic 4x4 setup with floor shifter and manual front hubs, the way these were meant to be. Now here's what makes this one special. It's wearing its original red paint, though the seller honestly notes it's a 30-foot paint job, and they've done some thoughtful updates. The interior has been freshened up with recovered seats, new floor pad, black carpet, and modern audio with Alpine stereo and Pioneer speakers. All the dash gauges are working. That's rare for these old Blazers. Recent work includes new floor pans from Hub City Hot Rods, new brakes, new windshield, and various LED light upgrades. It's sitting on a Les Schwab lift package with BF Goodrich all-terrain TAs that still have 85% tread left. The white fiberglass top gives it that classic two-tone look. 13. Let me tell you about this interesting 1972 Chevy K20. I just found listed for $15,000. This isn't your typical classic truck. We're looking at a modified beast with some serious performance potential. The heart of this build is a 357 horse Chevy Crate roller motor. And here's where it gets interesting. It's already prepped for a Pro Charger setup if you're thinking about forced induction. Behind that, there's a built TH400 automatic transmission that's reportedly ready to handle up to 750 horsepower. That's some serious overbuilding. The running gear is a mix of interesting choices. They've got a corporate 14-bolt rear end, super strong, but a 1.2-ton front axle, manual locking hubs, and a 205 transfer case. It's sitting pretty with a 6-inch lift rolling on 35-inch tires, though the tread is at 50%. Now let's address some important points. The truck has a salvage title, which is something any potential buyer needs to consider carefully. The odometer shows 20,000 miles but has rolled over, so the true mileage is unknown. As a bonus, they're throwing in a 350 stroker block that's never been run, needs cleaning, plus some carbs and gas tanks. The bed is straight, which is always a plus on these old trucks. At $15,000, you're buying into a project with some serious performance potential, but that salvage title will affect its resale value. The combination of the built drivetrain and lift setup suggests this was built to be a performance-oriented truck rather than a restoration. 14. Let me tell you about this super cool 1964 Dodge A100 pickup listed for $9,000. If you're into unique classics, this one's going to catch your attention. It's one of those rare forward-controlled trucks that definitely stands out from the crowd with that SoCal surfer vibe the seller mentions. Under that stubby nose, you've got the bulletproof 225 CI Slant 6 engine paired with a 3-speed manual 3-on-the-tree transmission. These Slant 6s are legendary for their reliability, and they make decent power for these little trucks. The odometer shows 46,764 miles. And here's what's really impressive. Most of the key systems are working. We're talking functional headlights, turn signals, wipers, windows, locks, and even the heater defroster. The only noted electrical issue is the radio and door speakers needing replacement. Body-wise, it's looking pretty solid with just a couple of minor rust spots. And importantly, the seller notes no rust underneath. That's huge for these old Dodges. It's currently on non-op status in California with no back fees, which is good news for the next owner. At $9,000, you're getting a distinctive piece of Dodge history that could either be enjoyed as is or taken to the next level with a restoration. These trucks have a strong following in both the classic car and vintage work truck communities, and their unique design makes them stand out at any car show. 15. Let me tell you about this fascinating 1970 Ford Ranchero GT I just found listed for $15,000. This one's pretty special because it's an Arizona car since new. And get this, it's wearing its original paint and GT stripes. That's incredibly rare for a vehicle over 50 years old. Let's talk about what makes this Ranchero interesting. Under the hood, there's a freshly rebuilt 351 engine paired with a 3-speed automatic transmission. The car shows 127,000 original miles, and being an Arizona vehicle, it's reportedly 100% rust-free. That's huge for these classic car trucks. The good stuff. It's got new, vintage-style cold AC, a must in Arizona, power steering, power disc brakes, and the chrome is described as mint. The seats are perfect, and it's rolling on original wheels with new tires and factory hubcaps. Even the original jack is still with the vehicle. Now let's be honest about the imperfections. There are some minor chips and scratches in the original paint, expected for its age, and the dash has cracks, which the seller honestly notes is a common Ford issue from this era. What makes this Ranchero particularly appealing is its originality. Finding an unrestored example with original paint and stripes is getting increasingly rare. Plus, all the major systems work, even the horn. The dual exhaust probably gives it a nice sound too. At $15,000, considering today's market for original classics, especially GT models, this seems reasonably priced. The seller appears to be a long-established dealer, 58 years in business, which adds some credibility to the vehicle's description. 16. Let me tell you about this 1975 Ford F-250 I just found listed for $12,500. Now, this listing is pretty brief, but there are some interesting points to discuss about this classic Ford truck. The seller tells us it's been in the same family for 20 years. That's always a good sign, as it usually means more consistent care and maintenance. It's showing 82,774 miles on the odometer. Though with these old trucks, it's always worth asking if that's original. This F-250 comes equipped with some nice features for a 75 model: power steering, power brakes, and factory air conditioning. That last one is particularly noteworthy, as it wasn't super common on trucks of this era. It's running the V8 engine, though they don't specify which one, with an automatic transmission. The green paint gives it that classic 70s truck look, and being a F-250, it's the heavy-duty 3/4-ton model, built for serious work. Now, I've got to be honest here, the listing is surprisingly sparse on details. There's no mention of the truck's mechanical condition beyond runs, no information about rust, always a concern with old trucks, and no details about any recent maintenance or repairs. At $12,500, you're in the ballpark for these classic F250S in today's market. But potential buyers should definitely ask for more information about its mechanical condition, any restoration work done, and especially about rust issues. These old Fords are known to rust in certain areas, so a thorough inspection would be wise. 17. Let me tell you about this classic 1975 Chevy C10 I found on Craigslist. You know, these C10S are absolute icons of American pickup trucks, and this one's got some interesting features worth talking about. It's running a 350 V8 engine, but interestingly, it's not the original. It's got an 87 Chevy 350 under the hood, which honestly isn't a bad thing, as these engines are known for their reliability and parts availability. It's paired with a 3-speed automatic transmission, which makes it pretty comfortable for daily driving. At $19,500, I've got to be straight with you. That's on the higher end for a C10 of this era, so you'll want to really inspect the condition and negotiate. The seller's listing is pretty bare bones, which makes me a bit cautious. I definitely want to see more details about the truck's history, any restoration work, and current mechanical condition. These square-body C10S have been climbing in value lately, but still, make sure to do your homework. The clean title is definitely a plus, though. Remember, these trucks were built to work, and they've got this fantastic blend of classic styling with real utility that's hard to find in modern vehicles. Just make sure to check for the usual rust spots these old Chevys are known for, especially in the cab corners and bed. 18. Let's talk about this 1968 Dodge pickup that's caught my eye. And I've got to be completely honest with you here. This is a project truck through and through, and the seller's being pretty upfront about it. We're looking at an authentic old farm truck with a 318 V8 under the hood and a 3-speed manual transmission, a classic combination that's pretty desirable when restored. The odometer shows 41,356 miles, but given its age, it's likely rolled over at least once. Now, let's get real about the condition. This truck needs serious work. The seller's straight up telling us it needs a complete brake overhaul and can't even be driven home. You'll need a trailer. The fact that it's on non-op registration tells us it hasn't been on the road in a while. But here's the silver lining. The engine does start and run, which is huge for a project vehicle, and it comes with those original black and yellow California plates, which are pretty valuable to collectors. At $6,500, you're not buying a ready-to-roll classic, you're buying potential. These old Dodge trucks have a fantastic look when restored, and the 318 V8 is a solid, reliable engine that's relatively easy to work on. The clean title is definitely a plus, but don't kid yourself. This is going to need a significant investment in both time and money to get it roadworthy. 19. Let me tell you about this awesome 1978 Dodge W150 I just found, and this one's actually pretty special. We're looking at a former military vehicle that's been given some serious attention by the current owner. What makes this truck particularly interesting is its slant 6 engine paired with the bulletproof 727 automatic transmission, a combination known for being virtually indestructible. This isn't just any W150, it's got full-time 4WD with front and rear locking differentials in both high and low range, making it a seriously capable off-roader. The seller has clearly put in work here. They've done a fresh carburetor, complete tune-up, new fuel system components, including tank and lines, and a thorough brake overhaul with new master cylinder and calipers. Those 35-inch tires definitely give it some serious presence. The odometer shows 99,039 miles, and the body has been treated with epoxy primer before getting a fresh coat of white paint, plus a rhino-lined bed. That's proper rust prevention right there. The electrical system is all working, which is rare for these older trucks, and they've gone through all the fluids. At $7,800, this is actually pretty fair pricing for a well-maintained W150, especially considering all the recent mechanical work. These old Dodge trucks are getting harder to find in good running condition, and this one seems to have been cared for properly. The Slant 6 might not be the most powerful engine, but it's known for running forever with basic maintenance. 20. Let me tell you about this fascinating 1984 Ford F350 that's got quite a story to tell. This is a serious, heavy-duty truck with the 6.9L IDI diesel engine, the non-turbo version that's known for its simplicity and reliability. Now, I've got to be completely honest here. This truck's been around the block more than a few times. The seller's super transparent about the mileage situation. We're looking at probably 330,000 plus miles. But here's where it gets interesting. The current owner has basically rebuilt this truck from the ground up since 2017. They've invested over $33K with $15K in documented repairs. And the list of work done is seriously impressive. We're talking rebuilt differentials, both front and rear, rebuilt C6 transmission, remanufactured heads, transfer case, injection pump. Basically, all the major mechanical components have been addressed. They've even taken care of both fuel tanks and installed new tires. The body shows its age with some dings and bangs, and the AC isn't working, but everything else is functional. Heater, wipers, lights, all good to go. The recent work, 2024 to 2025, includes a complete brake system overhaul, new starter, fresh batteries, and rebuilt alternator. That's serious maintenance. At $13,000, you're not buying a show truck. You're buying a well-maintained workhorse that's had pretty much everything mechanical either rebuilt or replaced. These old 6.9 IDI diesels are getting harder to find, especially with this level of documented maintenance. The 600 pounds of tube sand included shows this truck's been used as intended, a proper work truck.